So I guess this is the intro.
It hasn't been a year for the Jabbermouths.
It's been a minute if you're one of 12 people who still listen to this.
Like my mom.
Your mom still listens.
Georgia, wave at the mic. Mom's listening.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah. Welcome to another Jabbermouths special. We decided to keep it in the vampire family and watched the entirety. We did Blade. Was our most recent special. That was rough. That was so...
Because it was too good.
Yeah, it was better than this.
It was
so much better than this. That's fair.
About
it was
Blade,
so.
You know?
Sorry, Georgia.
I'm going to disagree.
Have you seen the Blade
trilogy? You weren't there.
I've seen the Blade trilogy, and I'm still going to say I like Twilight better.
I don't know. Does Twilight have Ryan Reynolds?
No, but it has Robert
John
Pattinson.
It does have John Mulaney. We're going to talk about that.
And I mean, we also have to introduce a resident vampire expert. It's Georgia.
Hi, my name's Georgia. I'm Barrett's sister, and also twihard since 2008.
Twihard?
Yeah,
Is that what that's called?
There's like the official fandom name of Twilight fans are called twihards.
Or people who also identified as vampires. Not just a joke in South Park, but that was real.
I never did.
I know you didn't. I'm really happy about that. But we watched a whole reality show of a person explaining what it means to be a vampire.
Gross.
But you're not.
You guys know about the couple that drinks each other's blood for real?
I have heard of that.
It makes it more sensual.
Yeah.
This is wrong. Anyway. Yeah. We brought on Georgia, and Georgia wanted to come on because she absolutely adored the series as a kid, and if you're interested in talking about it, played a role in your personal journey in your own sexual orientation eventually, didn't it? Because you were very much in love with Edward when you were a kid.
I mean, okay.
You want to tell me that you let me preface this before you say it. Barrett made a point to let us know that you had a full-size cutout of the man.
You did.
In your room as a kid, and if you're comfortable saying it, you're very much not that, right?
Way to be outed on the pod.
Oh,
That's
whatever.
fine.
Whatever. If you weren't...
Were you ever...
for anyone who didn't know, she hadn't actually come out yet. This is her telling everybody.
This is me coming out. No, so yeah, I did. I had everything Twilight. I was obsessed with the books. And I read the series first to make fun of the theater kids who were reading it. There were all these girls reading Twilight, and I was like, that sounds so dumb. I'm going to read it so I know everything about it so I can make fun of you. And it backfired. I ended up really liking the series. I had wall-to-wall posters of the cast. I had the Edward Cullen cutout. Y'all know the secret? So an Edward Cullen cutout, I used to spray the back of it with Old Spice so it would smell, so I could stand next to it. I know it's weird.
You have an issue with me bringing these things up. All
right, so that's weird. But so I did that, and then looking back on it, it was probably more I didn't want to be in love with Edward. I wanted to be Edward and have a Bella, essentially. And then rereading the series as an adult and rewatching the movies as an adult, I was like, oh man, Alice is gay for Bella. If you read Midnight Sun, which is from Edward's perspective, there's so much there about Alice just being I'm gonna love Bella too. I know it. She's gonna be in our lives forever. And I was this is. But it was written by a Mormon woman. But if you read the series and watch it again, I'm okay.
Well, who's to say she's not in the closet? I'm kidding. I'm not going to make that whole different can of worms.
But yeah, I don't think it directly impacted my coming out. That was a bit of an overstatement. That was Glee that did that. Twilight was more I just think I wanted to have a Bella in my life for me to protect.
I get that. So you kind of imprint yourself, not to imprint the wrong way. You put yourself on Edward, that's who you identify with in the series.
I'm more so when I was a young, closeted person. Yeah, I think I more so put on Edward's kind of this suave, sexy person. He's very caring and comforting, but he's also mythical and fantastic. So that was also pretty sick.
Who doesn't want to be mythical and fantastic?
Right.
I know we're about to take the next hour to absolutely rip these movies apart, but this is genuinely fascinating for me to get the actual perspective of someone who's in love with that franchise and understand it to a better degree. Because I don't. Yeah. I tried. For so many times. I tried the books. I tried the movies alone. I couldn't do it ever.
I'm raising my hand because I don't want to talk over people.
I think
problem of doing that.
We should probably have some sort of system for that. Yeah.
So I remember when we were kids. So you read all of Twilight, and then you read all of Harry Potter. It was weird for I guess for a lot of people it was the opposite of Harry Potter to Twilight. But you did Twilight to Harry Potter, and now I guess looking back, which one? I feel like you love Harry Potter more now because you still like celebrate that a lot more often.
Well, the reason why I started with Twilight is because I wasn't a reader as a kid, and Twilight, I'm not even gonna like. It's a well-written book. Like, the series, they're well-written, and that's, like, really what kickstarted me into liking reading. I'm still an avid reader to this day because of Twilight. You know, I gotta shout it out. I have to. Credits where credits due, and it's that. I would say I probably like the Harry Potter series a little bit better just because there's a lot more world building in that, and, I can be my own character in Harry Potter, where in Twilight, like, I don't fit in, like, as yourself, because, like, everyone can imagine themselves in Harry Potter, but you can't really. Yeah,
I feel like for the first 5 or 6, if you weren't white, it was pretty hard to see yourself.
I'm white.
I know you are. Talking to somebody who isn't.
That's fair. I'm sorry. Well, I don't, from my experience,
Like
I was able to picture myself more in that.
No, Twilight, for a considerable portion, the only, like,
non-white character is Jacob.
The only non-white character is an antagonist in the first film.
Well,
that
that's actually...
That had to be changed, right? Because it wasn't in the books like that.
In the books, Stephanie Meyer is... I'm not... Canonically, she had said that there would be no black vampires because all the melanin would get, like, bleached from their skin, essentially, with the vampire virus that they, like, go through the transition. So in her mind, all vampires are white. And this is a Mormon woman from Utah, where, you know, black people weren't even allowed in the religion until, like, the 1970s.
Yeah, they don't like to talk about that.
They don't like to talk about that. They gloss over that. But, yeah, so in her mind, she was really against the casting of Laurent because she was like, Laurent can't be a black man.
I just like to imagine that because, yeah, it's the idea of, like, hey, there are no black vampires. It's like the minute a black person gets bit by a vampire, they're like, I love Coldplay now.
Coldplay and U2 records
for me now.
Does it happen immediately, do you think? Like, if you're like a black dude who gets bit,
your
pigment just immediate start changing?
We saw, like, you know, like the venom, you know, like coursing through them, like, for like a few hours, like, do
you want the official answer how long it takes to become a vampire?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's 2 to 3 days depending on how much venom you have in your system.
Is that just, like, straight pure agony then?
Yeah, it's
through
the transformation process. Apparently, it feels like there's just like a fire inside of you, and it's apparently total agony, and you're aware of it the entire time, and you can't, like, black out from it. You'll remember it forever as, like, the most vivid thing in your life will be, like, that pain, and then your thirst going forward.
That's wild.
So that's the official answer.
I was like, I want to do that.
Going back to the black people changing, do you think, like, I would like to think that there is a moment where they run into, like, a not yet vampire, like a friend of a vampire who just happens to be an albino person, and they just go, oh yeah, no, it's a black vampire. What's that supposed to mean? What do you mean? And they haven't told him yet. That's what happens when a black person gets bit. Well, yeah, you were clearly a vampire. You know, you were black. No, I'm just albino.
Oh no.
In that universe, albinism might be actually more rare than vampires.
Well, there's that whole, like, montage of just like teenage angst incarnate with all those dudes getting turned for, like, the whole movie. What was that? I don't even know. Was that the second or third one? Eclipse. When they're raising the army.
Oh.
It was just willy-nilly, like, fucking STD epidemic kind of style shit. No one was asking for it. It was just happening to them, all right?
Half of Seattle's just in agonizing pain for 2 days.
I mean, that just sounds like Seattle.
I mean, yeah.
That's just the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we can kind of... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, always a chance to pluck. You know the... what series does a really good job about including lots of races?
Percy Jackson.
That's true. I really hope that the series that's coming does a good job.
Right?
Because I don't know. I don't know if y'all saw the movies.
Oh, it's terrible.
They're all...
See, but y'all... So the second question is, did you guys read the books?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why you think it's terrible. Apparently, there's a real consensus here is that everyone who saw those movies who didn't read the books thought, no, they're fine, they're all right.
They completely restructured the entire plot.
I agree.
Like, the entire
which is why the
plot is different.
Which is why the only people who hate it are the people who read the books.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same. I recently had that again for me personally. I guess it was after reading the first 4 Wheel of Time books and watching season 1 of Amazon show, going, nah, fuck this. Fuck y'all. This is bullshit.
I will say, continuity between the Twilight books and the Twilight films, not too bad. As far as, like, major plot points, all the same things happen. across both of them. I will say Jacob gets a little bit of a glow up in the movies. He's much worse in the books, but we can talk about how much.
We will dive into the monster that like if
The monster.
I think the agreed thing that Georgia kept saying was like if you read the books, there's no way you could be Team Jacob. That's just how it is.
Well, you shouldn't be Team Jacob.
Like if you are, you got problems.
You might need some therapy.
I knew people who had read, at least claimed to have read the books and were avid Team Jacob folks.
I feel
so,
bad for them.
I mean, I don't want to.
Those are the.
I don't want to divulge personal detail, but their lives aren't the best at this point.
They're like the same people who post, unironically that like their ideal relationship is Joker and Harley Quinn. Everything they say is invalid.
Oh, I think they genuinely believe that today. Still, yeah, that's fair.
And everything they say is invalid.
That's also fair. Okay, so I was thinking, for each movie, we could each say like a sentence that we took away from the movie, and then just talk about the film for a bit, and then go on to the next one.
I have to remember the movie.
That's why you just gotta say sentence. That's why it's just one sentence. It's easy.
Doesn't even have to be
What
an actual
happens
sentence.
in this movie?
What I learned in Twilight is.
I feel like for me, the second one's gonna be the hardest one to like remember anything.
Yeah.
But I remember
Ready.
almost nothing. I know you're right. You can give us you can be the Encyclopedia Twilightica whenever you want.
That sounds
That was good.
Not.
bad.
Yeah.
Encyclopedia
It's
Twilightica.
not Twilightica. It sounds like just something like.
It sounds like something.
Something I hear in a
Star
sci-fi
Wars.
series,
Yeah.
or like Warhammer, like Twilightica. Yeah, I don't
Like
know.
the region of Twilightica.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We gotta consult the Encyclopedia Twilightica.
Yeah, I don't,
That's not bad.
our
That's
fucking
not bad.
title now.
Encyclopedia Twilightica.
Yeah.
All right, I'm cool with that. Do you want to start as the all-knowing of the group? And this is probably more difficult for you than us to only be able to say one sentence
I think it'd be
about
easier.
the first film, but you only get the one.
Okay.
And then we'll obviously discuss more. But
For the first film, I would describe it as like pale blue teenage yearning.
okay,
Because
that's all you get.
That's
That's
it.
all you get.
That's it. But it
She
makes-
was prepared. Like she thought about this.
it's pale blue teenage yearning.
Yeah.
I blue. Because the
'Cause
whole
the
thing
whole-
is tinged
the whole
blue.
thing
Because
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yes.
LUT that they
Yeah.
put over it.
Is ridiculous.
They call it the Twilight filter.
You or me or you? Who wants to go next? We're just gonna go in a circle.
It doesn't have to be. It's just your thoughts.
Yeah, just the thought of the film.
If I would never be an immortal if it meant I had to go to high school for the rest of my fucking life, I'd bail.
That's fair.
Absolutely
fair.
not. I couldn't stop thinking about that with the Collins. It's just like, we go to so many different high schools. Like, this is it? This is your life doing this over and over again? Yeah, it's great. I'm like, no.
How many pig dissections
Awful.
have you had to go
That's like a
through?
nightmare, exactly. It's just a nightmare having to, like, I still have nightmares about, like, oh god, I'm back in high school because they revoked my college degree. Like, I don't know. Why would I want to do that? It's a weird source of stress for me.
It's okay. Teenagers making poor decisions for all of immortality.
There's a lot of films like that. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. That's fair.
All of eternity.
All I could just think for the entirety of the first film is like, I kind of fucking hate Bella. Like, I just do. I kind of hate this lady.
It's
I think
'cause she
I think she sucks.
Which
Yeah.
part's the...
Everything.
Her
about
like
this
her
character
eye fluttering and she's always like
blows.
touching her hair and has like weird ticks.
That was the drinking game, right? Every time she touches her
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
it
will
was.
say, Kristen Stewart gets a lot of shit for this film, but in comparison of the books, book Bella is incredibly awkward, super socially uncomfortable with any situation, and so like Kristen Stewart did a good job portraying that almost too well to the point where it now made the audience uncomfortable.
Yeah.
No, if that's what she was going for, she did a phenomenal job. I just think it isn't something that should have been going for. And this is not a knock on Kristen Stewart.
It should be a knock on Catherine
the actress,
Hardwicke, the director.
Yeah,
Exactly, because I think the vast majority of the cast are really good. Like, they're good talent in general. Kind of like in the same way that Hayden Christensen got a ton of
Yeah.
flack in Star Wars, right? Like, I like that actor. I think he's a good actor. I don't like his Anakin. I think it's kind of baby and dramatic and bullshit and trash. And that's kind of how I feel about a lot of the characters in this film. Is it's kind of overly dramatic and baby and tiny bit trash. But that's what they went for. So they succeeded in going for it, right? Which is part of why I didn't like the franchise as a kid and growing up. I now criticize it, right?
Right.
So I do want to just start, like, my first issue is Bella the character. Like,
Wait, what
she's
was
kind
your
of boring.
sentence? Oh, right. It
Sentence
was
is Bella sucks.
Right.
Yeah.
She's boring. She doesn't like doing like she's never a catalyst. It's always things happening to her.
Well,
if that makes sense in the first movie for me.
Yeah, and also I guess it's just the idea of like why so vampires I've always known to be like suave, sexy, cool. Like that's their whole mythology. So I just don't understand how they're like, hey, that awkward girl who can't make eye contact with anyone, that's her. That's the one for me. Like,
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, I mean, one of the big things about like young adult novels, right, is that's me. I can put myself in the book, and so for a lot of young kids, I don't know about you, but like it was the maybe it was with Edward, but like it's the I can be that character. I see myself in that character. I relate to that character, and that's why they become so popular.
I think it's the trope of like you are plain and boring, but something exciting can happen to you.
Right. The idea that like anything can happen to you.
I respect
I'm
that.
not special, but
something. Oh, sorry. That was a lot of honking and stuff that probably just got caught on that.
yeah, not really.
Really?
I mean, it probably shows up, but
We're in LA.
It's fine.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah, I would say Bella comes across, and I feel like I'm gonna do this a lot in the books.
You're gonna be that person this whole time.
I'm here to validate the Twilight experience.
That's fair.
And I will say that the character of Bella is like really well read and is actually very intelligent in the books and is very smart. And the reason why Edward is drawn to her is because we all know Edward can read thoughts. And he can't read Bella's. And through the experience of him going to high school repeatedly, he is now he predicts and knows very well what teenage humans are going to do. Right. But Bella goes against everything he expects from the mold of what a normal teenager is. And that's why it's it comes back to what Ethan said. It's she's like this plain kind of boring person.
Oh, you're a fucking weirdo. I like you.
I like you.
That's
You're
fair.
not creeped out by my intense gaze and my cold skin. Awesome.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like the first time they look at each other, he's just like,
because he wants to kill her.
Yeah.
Instantly. Yeah, that part of the movie really kills me when she walks in and then the fan ruffles hair in slow motion, and then you just see Robert Pattinson, who plays Edward, grab his nose in the most dramatic way. He fucking is smelling raw feet. Can I swear on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, say whatever the fuck
he's
you want. I mean, we would prefer no slurs, but you know what? We are an open door household.
No slurs. But, that moment of Edward just looking like he's absolutely gonna vomit, repulsed by Bella, is still so funny to me every time I see it. The acting in that moment, and you're just like, that's a bit odd.
It's so over, and it's all over the top, most of it. Whether it's brooding or the hair touch or it's all I think the whole franchise is kind of that way. But that's a style. I hate to begrudgingly admit that it's a stylistic choice because that's the whole point. And
yeah, I think Catherine Hardwicke really took it in that direction.
Did they switch directors halfway through the series?
Every film had a different director, except for Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2 was the same.
Okay.
Brian Connolly or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Were there any? You might not know this. Were there any that have done other critically acclaimed things? Or
Yeah,
was
well,
it more
Catherine Hardwicke.
Other than Hardwicke, we talked about I know Hardwicke.
Probably, to be honest,
I don't know.
I'm not
genuinely
entirely
don't know.
sure.
I don't know that I don't want to look it up because I'll say bad things. I'm going to continue to trash these movies.
He's a cast.
Only for the first. I have the cast list up right now.
I mean, she definitely has done other big things. I think
know she
when
has.
it got towards the later movies, I do believe they pulled in some decently big names. Because I mean, the Twilight Saga franchise is a big deal in the 2010s. Box office hits. So, especially the last couple, but we'll get there. Especially when they start bringing in some of this talent. You're how did they sign on for Twilight?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was from Twilight that and then the later 2010s, how the genre just slowly fade away because they're here's less interesting young adult romance stories that just slowly start
definitely
creeping backwards.
Twilight. I mean, because from Twilight, that's where you get I don't think The Hunger Games would have been a film without Twilight becoming a film, or Divergent series,
just a straight rip-off of...
which is awful.
I watched half of one Divergent.
Did you read any of the books?
I didn't even.
I tried to read the first one.
I have read all of the books at the time as a teenage weirdo that I was. I love them, and then a year later, I was like, "Oh, this is weird." They're weird.
But I feel a lot of those stories kind of got their spotlight
This,
again
like-
in like the early 2010s region because they saw the success of Twilight, this first movie. They're like, we can do that with these other beloved
Book series.
young adult book series.
Yeah, it was like that. It was The Hunger Games. It was Maze Runner.
I think Twilight was the catalyst for all of that.
This is I'm showing my stupidity here. Which finished first, Twilight or Harry Potter?
Harry Potter.
Harry
They
Potter
both
finished?
actually finished the same summer, I believe.
No, I thought, we were looking through
10th
Breaking
summer.
Dawn Part 2 was 2012. Harry Potter 2011.
Oh, I thought it was also 2012.
Because I was just curious what set
Yeah.
the standard of the part
Very
1, part
close.
2 for the finishing.
Harry
film.
Potter did.
Harry Potter did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That helps me out a lot. Because, like, I can barely justify it for Harry Potter. I don't know that I could justify it as much on this film franchise. I just didn't care for them making it a part 1,
It was
part 2.
totally unjustifiable.
And,
We
and,
can get there.
yeah, and
we'll
Hunger
get there.
Games, it was idiotic that they did it.
Right.
They
In my
did the
opinion.
same thing with Divergent.
Divergent.
Tried to extend it.
They didn't do that with Maze Runner, though. Maze Runner, I think, just was movies.
I mean,
I never read any of the Maze
I didn't
Runner
read or see a full Maze
Maze
Runner
I have
film.
seen the Maze Runner at the gym on the TV.
they played a lot.
Apparently,
do.
it's not that like
I've
as
seen
far
a
as the
lot
like
of,
the B-list ones go. Because I feel like anything up below like Twilight, Harry Potter. I guess Lord of the Rings is technically in that same conversation, but not really.
No,
It's kind of
it's
its own
different
conversation.
genre, different
Yeah.
category.
I call everything else under that kind of B tier, in my opinion.
That's fair.
Is
Yeah.
it fair?
Yeah, that's fair with me.
I heard it's a better B tier one. So back on kind of track.
Other moments that stuck out from you guys from the first movie could be good or bad.
Oh, the car thing. Totally the car thing.
Yeah?
When she's like about to get hit by the car, just we're just like the dramatic like slowdown of just the moment of him catching the car
Oh, and
to save her.
the sexual assault sequence.
Bring me back.
That's a different. That's Port Angeles. We're talking about where.
No, I know.
Or are you just talking about a whole different moment?
Well, I was just like the two moments are like they
Like
have
burning
kind of
your
the
brain
same
forever.
energy.
Sexual assault, car crash, same
Well, but,
energy.
you know,
I think
there's-
Bella was wondering if that's what
It's
the
all that
next thing.
danger.
The Edward.
I gotta sleep with him now.
You know, Edward is the savior,
Okay.
right? Like he saves her with the car, and it's all dramatic and perfect. And then Bella's walking along the docks, and almost
He's
all the
assaulted.
guys are like trying to get at her, and Edward's just, I'm gonna go kill him, and kills them all. And it's the savior complex thing.
Okay.
He doesn't kill them in the. He doesn't kill them.
No?
In the
He just,
movie,
he
no.
just beats
He
the living shit out of them,
leaves.
doesn't he?
He doesn't touch
He doesn't do
them.
anything. Yeah, he just
You know who
threatens
kills
them.
him? Alice. That's in Midnight Sun. That's a
No.
spoiler for you. Edward actually
Oh,
isn't the
no.
one to. He and Alice, I believe, are the
Oh.
ones to kill him, and then Carlisle covers it up.
Carlisle's such a good
Carlisle is
dad.
the best.
See,
Carlisle's like the
I,
best dad. He didn't deserve that shitty guy.
What? Do you have a moment?
Yeah, I think my moment is just any of the running sequences of the vampires. You can tell that they're obviously on wires because their legs are not moving fast enough for like their speed. So just like every time like she's on her back and just like watching just like Robert Pattinson's legs just casual jog speeding through mountains.
We've talked about different moments like this before on the podcast. I kind of want to go back and just put the Flintstones like.
That sound.
The-
Well, so that effect, I believe they did it in a couple different ways throughout the movies. One of the ways is on a wire, they're just standing in place, looking like they're running. In Twilight, in the first film, when the three antagonists come in, when we have James, Laurent, and Victoria all come in, they're actually on a magic carpet type thing. So they had like a truck or a pulley pull this magic carpet thing covered in leaves, and they walked on the magic carpet as it was getting pulled forward.
Yeah.
So that's how they did it in that one. And then in Breaking Dawn, or probably Eclipse sometime around then, they changed it to where they literally just put treadmills on the back of moving vehicles. And so they'd like harness it in and they're running on a treadmill on a moving vehicle. And that was kind of how it looks super weird and super awkward. And I'm sure technology now, 10 years
It's
later.
probably full
Would've been way
CGI
better.
now.
Yeah, it's a full CGI now.
Why don't we talk about awkward later with CGI?
No, we'll get
Oh
there.
yeah. Any other? I mean, my favorite, other than everything we talked about, I guess my other best moments is we get introduced to my two favorite characters of the entire series. And that's Emmett. who
Oh,
I
so
love
strong.
with a burning passion.
I want
This
to climb
big-
his arms.
This big, dumb, happy, muscular guy who is like my favorite, and Jasper because he is like the most problematic fucking dummy. Like, he's not a bad character at all. Character written, he's written really well. He's very well spoken. He's very helpful to everybody. It's just that there's one specific character trait of his.
Is that he's a racist?
He's a total racist. He fought for the like, they just casually mention that he fought for the Confederacy and expect you to gloss over it. Not like, how did Bella not go, wait a minute, hold on, bring that back. Bring that back. I'm sorry, he fought what side?
I just don't understand.
And Carlisle thought he deserved to...
in the middle of Oregon.
And then just also the whole idea of just... Or maybe like it's okay if just like, it's like, yeah, he fought for the Confederacy. And what are his views now?
They never explicitly say that.
Right? People grow, people change. With new information, we change our opinion.
Yeah, but they don't ever say it, though.
It's never addressed.
I don't know, did you ever see Carlisle bring anybody not white into the family?
Well, we just had this discussion.
It's because they're all white.
Yeah, that's
the
why.
Vampire virus. Come on.
The same virus that erases black culture. Get out of here. Stephanie Myers understands everything.
I'm just saying, they let Laurent be black. They could have let any of those characters not be white.
Stephanie Meyer would have put up a fight, I bet. She was really against some of the casting. Just like in general. She really wanted Henry Cavill to play Edward.
I would have loved that.
Yeah.
I would have been in line for every one of those.
Her dream cast included him.
Was he even like?
Just imagine.
Was he even that big yet?
When was Superman?
Because Superman wasn't until like
2015.
the end.
No, he wasn't even like that big yet. He was just kind of like an obscure British actor still at that point.
See, just imagine if we were in that alternate reality where he was Edward and then became Batman, and then Robert Pattinson was Superman.
Who then became The Witcher.
Time.
I want a Robert Pattinson Witcher now.
Another, I will say about the first Twilight movie, it's cringe, it's weird, but the soundtrack slaps. We have to. Yeah. The soundtrack for Twilight, the movie, is phenomenal.
We can just say
I think you say that for almost the entire series. There's the very few times that the soundtrack doesn't properly
They're all
hit,
great.
I
They're
think,
all so
in the
good.
entirety of the franchise.
And I just, to me, watching the series back in 2008, whenever it came out, to now, it's I still just get a really nice nostalgia feeling from it. So for me, it's Twilight.
Well, watching the end credits to Breaking Dawn and they're playing the Christina Perry song, and all I can think is, whatever happened to Christina? I felt like an old man, yes, Christina Perry, whatever happened to her?
I feel bad, I didn't know who that was first time we saw that, I'm gonna be honest.
I
didn't know.
Fair. We knew.
Yeah, the lady did her song was the finale end credit song. Yeah. I think we can move on to New Moon.
I think we do. I think we can kind of go through New Moon relatively fast. Because by this point, Bella knows about the vampire world. She's almost died already. Probably a couple, 2-3 times probably.
Just twice, I think.
Just the car and...
I forgot about three.
So three
times.
Right? Yeah, so she's aware of what's all going on. Edward is killed for her at this point. Yeah. She's a part of this world now. Oh, and there's this long-haired fuckhead named Jacob who is also there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He's not really a fuckhead yet. Though. He's
not.
just weird.
Didn't he?
We haven't talked about
that's not till this movie, is it? That he
becomes
shows up.
He forces a fucking kiss.
No,
was
that's Eclipse.
That's Eclipse?
Yeah.
I remember nothing about this film.
Actually, no,
doesn't she run off with Jacob for a while in this one?
Well,
isn't this the motorcycle one?
Yeah, the reason why okay. Yes, it is. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
This is when the first red flag we'll get from Jacob. That is this film. Other than his hairstyle in the first movie, that was bad.
We haven't talked about Charlie yet.
Oh.
Charlie?
Dad.
Okay.
I mean, he's there.
He's there.
In the first one, he's there, and he's the town sheriff, and he's a pushover. That's
and he's trying to be a good dad.
He
hasn't done it for a while, and he's like, jeez.
Yeah, Charlie more so shines in the later ones.
That's
and
true.
Twilight, he's just...
And New Moon.
Whole franchise, he just
Do you want me to start? I'll just start
dad.
Listing all the characters so we make sure they get covered. Is that okay?
I mean, I feel like we only need to cover ones that we found relevant.
Right.
Right. Why touch a stick that we didn't pick up when we first watched it?
So now coming into New Moon synopsis, Bella almost dies. Classic Bella, am I right? Edward gets all whiny boohoo baby and just abandons her. Whole family splits town.
Right.
This whole life she thought she was going to be involved in, gone.
They fuck off, right? Yeah.
Where do they go again? They go to...
Well, the story...
They kind of
They separate a little
Yeah.
bit. So they tell everyone that Carlisle got a big job in LA as a plastic surgeon, which is like the public story. But they actually went east, and then Emmett and Rosalie went off to Europe to just hang out by themselves for a bit. And Edward went to track Victoria because he knew that she was still after Bella.
Yeah.
So while
Laurent's
he wasn't with the family,
Boo, right?
James is Boo.
James is Boo.
Yeah, so we
right.
killed James at the end of the first one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Who
Laurent was
part
still
of Laurent's
alive
crew.
Laurent
at
was
the
still
beginning
alive.
of New Moon.
Yeah.
So coming into New Moon, Jacob was around in the first, in the movie, but he's just like this kind of cute, dorky little guy. Like you can tell he has a crush on Bella, but she's like, oh, like okay, it's here's Jacob, my childhood friend. Like, all right, whatever. And then Bella decides like she goes to this major fucking depression when Edward and the Cullens leave. And they have that really dramatic montage of the spinning.
Oh, the spinning room.
Oh, he's a
We had
drinker.
a-
As time
the
passed,
drink,
we
yeah, so
drank through the whole
the
time.
drinking game was to drink the entire time. That montage. It was like a couple minutes.
Oh, as a side note, we were pretty fucking plastered throughout the majority of these films.
We did all the Twilight drinking games.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
So that contributes to the lack of memory when it comes recollection when it comes to this.
But yeah, that whole montage was hilarious and weird.
It was all weird. Like I said, that whole movie's like probably the most forgettable
I
for me.
barely remember anything in that movie.
I just felt like not enough happened,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, the
Or it's
same
like-
goes for the book.
Yeah.
Not a lot happens.
Or it's just more
Right,
of,
the
hey.
Cullens leave and then they come back.
What is the big finale to that?
The Volturi.
Oh yes,
Yeah, the
yes.
Volturi
Yeah.
existing. Yeah.
Yeah, because then Bella, in her depression, she finds that when she does dangerous things that she has like hallucinations of Edward, which that is never fully addressed in the books or in the movie, of being like, yo bro, that's not good. She's just like, when I do dangerous things I can hear his voice, it feels like he still cares about me, and you're like, that's weird.
Oh,
You
is
should
that
see
why
a
she tries?
therapist.
Is that why she tries to kill herself on that motorcycle?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why she gets the motorcycles, and so in the book,
And
she
Jacob's just
sees
sitting there
that-
like, oh, she's taking interest in my mechanic hobby. This is so sweet. I'm gonna have babies with this girl.
1,000% is using Jacob at the beginning because she knows he's a mechanic, and she's like, I need to do near-death things so I can see my little boyfriend in hallucination.
Well, because like the spirit animal of fucking Edward shows up to beat Bella. Don't do this.
Yeah,
please.
that's
I
weird.
just like the idea, like she looks at the sky, it's like Mufasa. But it's like,
Oh, and I like how it's kind of like it's like misty, and like he like the sound effect is like when she like walks through him. So that's where Jacob, like Bella and
Closest thing to
Jacob get their
intimacy
start.
they've had since their relationship started.
God, seriously.
Walking through a mist of
Can we talk about how big of a prude Edward is?
Edward is such
Yeah.
a bit like. If he didn't have vampire powers, I feel like he'd get beat up a lot.
Yeah.
He's an absolute prude, waiting for marriage, like super strange.
I get the waiting for marriage thing just because of like the time that he's
Old-timey.
from, because he's from like the
1918.
early 1900s,
She was born in 1901.
and he got turned at 17. Then I guess is how that works.
Yeah, he was 17.
Simple math.
He was turned in 1918 by Carlisle because he was dying of the Spanish flu.
see, I will say I would love if like just like going into his bedroom and it is purely like 1918. Like, hold on, they put on the newest vaudeville record for you. Can I get you a cream pop?
Right? And none of them talk.
So that's something they don't touch. How old did you have to be to get drafted to World War One?
18.
Was it 18?
I believe it was
Okay,
18.
cool. So I guess he just barely
So are
dodges
we trying to
World
say
War
that
One.
Edward Cullen is a draft
Draft
dodger?
dodger?
Well,
Yeah.
so he
Well,
gets
so-
turned before he turns 18,
Yeah.
and
He
World
does.
War One ended that year.
Okay, yeah.
So he
He was not
physically
old enough to
could
go-
never have gone to war. He could dodge any draft he wanted, technically. He's a forever 17-year-old, right?
That-
Because his maturity stopped the moment he became a vampire, right?
Yeah.
So emotionally, he's essentially a 17-year-old forever.
Correct.
Which is another reason why this relationship fucking sucks. Like, to the level of, like, Romeo and Juliet sucks. They're literally children. They will
Yeah.
never stop being children either.
Yeah.
Because, spoiler alert, Bella becomes a fucking vampire, too, at that age, right? So, like,
doesn't she get, she
Yeah.
hits 18.
She's 18.
they'll be kids forever, though, right?
Right.
Like I was doing much
Technically,
real stupid
technically
shit.
her relationship is not legal then.
Oh, actually, in
It's technically
Washington,
legal.
I think that's
In-
within.
in Colorado would be
yeah,
legal, too.
I think
Yeah.
it's legal.
And
Unfortunately.
Well, so yeah,
18
I
and
guess
17.
It's the, what, the 4-year rule or whatever.
it's a, I think it's a,
Whatever.
I think
it
in
is.
Colorado it's a
Not
4-year
that-
rule, which is
Well, I'm glad you
fucking
know.
wild.
That's a lot.
Yeah, they're called Romeo and Juliet laws. Or actually, what they're called.
I'm aware of them.
It might be 2 years. It might be 2.
Yeah, it's even weirder when you think about Edward, especially from Midnight Sun, which is the book on his perspective.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, before Bella shows up, he's literally referring to the classmates in high school as children. Mm-hmm. He says, the human children are annoying me today. The human children are predictable. And all of a sudden, even when he wants to kill Bella, he's like, I could kill this child in a second. I was like, whoa, and then all of a sudden you're like, in love? That's odd that you
That's
first...
very predatory.
It is. I'm not saying that Twilight's not without its faults. Edward, a little predatory. Jacob, a little rapey and non-consensual.
And also kind of a predator.
You know, whoever's Alice Cullen, not a predator. Love her.
Emmett. Gold Star. Gold Star Emmett.
Not a...
Jasper's not a predator.
Jasper's not a predator.
Racist.
Yeah.
I'll take racist Confederate Jasper's ass over either of those 2 things, I'll be honest.
I don't know. I feel like if I'm sitting in a room with
two pedophiles and a racist,
I would rather just leave the room.
Turn off the TV.
Yeah, New Moon. Not a lot happens in New Moon. Basically, Bella uses Jacob. In the books, there's a line that says, oh gosh, we're getting a lot of...
I'm not worried about the sound. I'm checking time. We've already gone for 37 minutes. We hit it hard. This is great.
But
I'm not worried about it.
There's a line. Fun. Yeah, I do too. There's a line in the books where Bella literally says something along the lines of, "I love Jacob, but wish so badly that he was my brother, so I could still hang out with him all the time, and there wouldn't ever be a layer of like him like wanting to be with me, and I don't want to be with him." Like Bella, in the books, never wanted to be with Jacob until like a paragraph in Eclipse, and that was it. So watching the movies after reading the books, I was like, oh yeah, Bella's not interested in Jacob, but they were like really playing up. That was the big ticket sell of the Twilight Saga was Team Edward, Team Jacob. And so a New Moon is when you finally get to see the Team Jacob women and fans start to come out of the woodworks, because you know Taylor Lautner was hot in that movie.
What do you mean was? I'd fuck Taylor Lautner now. What are you talking about?
Okay, Taylor Lautner is hot.
Thank you.
And you know, arguably,
put some respect on that man.
Hotter than. Well, he's a better body than Robert Pattinson.
Oh, that's
Robert Pattinson is also sexy.
There's a different kind of appeal to Robert Pattinson.
Right, exactly. Right? And so
he's got that. He had that Timothy Chalamet thing going before Timothy.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, that e-boy twink.
Yes. And so
the e-boy vampire twink.
Having Jacob be shirtless in the majority of New Moon, which was also something we had to drink at whenever he had his shirt off.
Yep. He went to therapy for that, by the way.
Taylor Lautner did?
For the way that he was treated on set for that, because they were like, he was like, "Hey guys, I'm cold and hungry," and they went, "You can't have the blanket. We're not done with the shot yet. And here's half of a cracker.
And here's a plain beef patty."
Like they literally he was like, I was given like 5 saltines every like 3 hours, and then I got a lunch of like 300 calories.
Just so he would look yoked.
And like every. Do you know what water fasting is?
Oh yeah, I mean.
To make you look ripped, you'll drink a fuck ton of water and then not drink anything for like 3 days.
Dehydrating yourself.
Yeah, they made him do that.
There's a whole big issue with male stereotypical body types in hero movies. Like it's really negative and really awful, but Hollywood knows that that's what sells, and so I think that's what sold New Moon. Because then eventually, Bella takes her death-defying stunts to the next level, decides to go cliff jumping. And that's the vision that Alice has that triggers the next chain of events for Alice and Edward to come back.
Yeah, so that's when the Cullens decide to come home?
Only Alice does, because Alice is like, oh no, Bella killed herself and it's our fault. Because
Alice is in love with
because Alice is in love with Bella.
Yeah.
But Alice...
We're going to keep saying that.
I will. I've read plenty of fan fiction about it.
No, I'm happy to say it as a group for you, just to reinforce the point.
Alice can't see the werewolves in her visions. Because the werewolves don't have a set future, because they're constantly changing between forms.
Have we seen any werewolves at this point yet?
Yes, we saw them when they killed Laurent. But we don't, and we do know that they're werewolves when Bella goes,
Yes.
So we see them first when they kill Laurent, and then Bella goes to confront Jacob because he stops hanging out with her, which, like, I know we're glossing over a lot of New Moon because it sucks.
It did suck.
She confronts him and he changes, and that's how she finds out about the werewolves, and then they're like, oh, Victoria. Anyways, she's trying to cliff jump to see Edward. And that's when Alice is like, oh no, Bella died, and it's all our fault. I'm going to go console Charlie.
Because he deserves that. He's trying to be a good dad.
And that's when she gets back, and she's like, oh shit, Bella's alive. But Rosalie, Emmett's wife,
Who sucks.
kind of a bitch.
Rosalie doesn't deserve Emmett.
Rosalie, we'll
get into Rosalie.
So Rosalie,
At this point, Rosalie doesn't deserve
Rosalie wants to be a gossiping bitch, and she had heard that Alice was gonna go, see Bella's grave or whatever, and she calls Edward, and he's like, "Hey, Edward, Bella's dead, you dumbass." And then basically, Edward's like, "I'm gonna kill myself, Romeo and Juliet."
Yeah, see? This is just Romeo and Juliet, but vampires, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I guess that's like kind of the end of New Moon. Like, basically, Alice and Bella run away to Italy because Edward's gonna try to do the eternal yeet.
And that, like in front of the Volturi, right? Because then they'll have to
Because they'll kill him.
Festival.
If he shows that he's a vampire, they'll
Yes.
have to kill
Well,
him.
his original plan was just asking for them to do it for him. Like, his original plan was like, "Can you just kill me?
Just
Can you just?" But
weren't they
Aro,
like, no, we won't.
well, because Aro is the leader of the Volturi, and he likes to collect powers. He likes to collect special vampires for his guard.
So he wanted
And
him
he
to
wanted
join.
Edward because while Aro can read minds, he has to be touching you, whereas Edward has
just do
stealth.
it.
Like he is the distance, the range weaponry. And so he's like, "No, I won't kill you." But then Edward knows, like, well, if I go expose myself,
You're gonna have to.
you're gonna have to kill me. And so it's a race against the clock, and there really is a clock.
No,
like,
I remember.
in the
Yeah,
scenes.
It's
It's
awful.
that slow motion of Bella running through the festival. Everyone's in their red cloaks. It's very dramatic.
Yep.
And she's like sprinting through the fountain.
I'm just saying, one good, cell phones existed. They weren't smartphones, but cell phones existed, right?
Can vampires use cell phones?
So
Why would they not be?
they have cell phones.
They're vampires,
Listen,
not fucking toddlers.
When
Percy Jackson.
guys, when Twilight was written back in 2006,
Yeah.
cell phones were a thing, but they weren't as widespread as they are now, especially with teenagers. A lot of teenagers didn't have phones. I didn't get my first phone until 2008.
I'll say 2009.
2009?
So I thought 2008 you and Patrick shared a phone.
And they were expensive back then.
No. Okay, so here's the first question, I guess. Then is it modern time to the mid 2000s?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, Cullen's rich.
Yeah. They have cell phones.
Okay, so they have
Edward
cell
destroyed
phones.
his. He left it in a trash can and
I love that you can
Oh,
close
yeah,
these
because-
plot holes for
sorry,
us. Thank
yeah,
you. That's
because,
all I needed. That's all I needed to be reminded of.
They called Edward back because once they found out, they called Edward, and some random person answered it because he left his cell phone in a trash can.
Thank
in Rio.
you.
In the movie, he just crushes it in his hand.
I don't know.
Yeah, that makes way more sense for
So
who
he
they
didn't-
were pandering
He didn't
to.
have a phone on him.
That's
Because he
all I
knew
needed.
that his family would try to call to get him to stop.
That's all I needed.
You're welcome.
Because that closes the plot hole. Because for me,
Yeah.
I'm like, I had a phone in 2007.
Yeah, they did call him. They just didn't answer.
Fair enough.
Alright.
Fair enough. So that's kind of Eclipse. They stop Edward from.
No,
That's
that's
New
New
Moon.
Moon.
New
Yeah.
Moon is where they stop
Yeah.
Edward from killing himself.
We're into Eclipse.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Into
We're
Eclipse.
getting into
I
Eclipse
misspoke.
now.
So I will say
We now
for
hit
opening
Eclipse.
of Eclipse is that when Edward and Bella go to visit Bella's mom in Florida.
That
So
was weird.
Here's what I love to imagine. So they just make the whole excuse of it's like, hey, he's a skin condition, so he can't really be out in the sun. I would have loved it if just Edward strutting down the beach, either like a plague doctor outfit, full black uniform, bird mask.
So no one can see that he.
Or even just a full Middle
Ski
Eastern
mask.
burqa just walking down the sand. Hello!
in really hot weather.
Lovely to meet everyone!
That would have been funny.
It's odd to me how maybe I'm remembering this incorrectly, but it felt like the mom was weirdly sex positive about the whole relationship.
Renee is a very sex positive mom.
That's cool. It was just awkward for me because
I grew up with a sex positive mom, so it tracked.
Bear just
Yeah.
told me about
It
this.
tracks.
My mom was the opposite. My mom was
Yeah.
like, if I find out you're having sex before marriage, I'm gonna cut your penis off, bury it in the backyard. Right?
Hey, my mom found out I was having sex with a sexy man like Edward Cullen. She'd be like, "Yeah, okay."
My mom more kept prodding me of hey, notice you're not really hanging out with a lot of girls. Shut up!
You're just getting roasted by your mother.
Mom, I'm trying!
Oh, that's fucking.
So that Renee didn't catch us as strange or not like a
Okay,
mom.
for me, I was just like, Jesus, fuck,
Yeah.
my God. But I guess it also kind of tracks for why that relationship split between Bella's parents,
Yeah.
because it feels like the dad
Charlie
is so
is
much more
very-
the stereotypical. I don't want to talk about sex with my daughter kind of father, right?
That was
Yeah.
Yeah, I both my parents. The closest thing I got was my pop saying, "Hey, we're gonna take a camping trip, and I'll tell you about it." And then I recited the stuff to him, and he went, "Oh, we don't need to take the camping trip." I was like, "Yeah, I'm 15. What are you talking
My
about?"
mom bought a book and sat down.
Yeah,
it was a picture
Sit in
book.
a fucking
It was.
boat.
We got to look at a picture book.
Just in
That's
depth
wild.
of everything.
Yo,
Actually, and literally, it
yeah.
happened the day I remember, like, when I just noticed what a tampon commercial was when I was 11. And I was like, hey, Mom, what's up with that? And she was like, follow me!
Because she already had them.
She was
Go on
like,
this great
she like
adventure.
pulled out the whole book. She's like, check it out. Ba-boom, ba-boom. Ovaries.
Yeah.
My mom. My family, opposite.
Hi, Mom.
Opposite. My mom knew to stop asking one day when I went out with a girl, and they were like, don't have sex. I'm like, you wouldn't know if I did. And then she went, all right, I'm going to stop asking.
That's funny. Eclipse. What happens in this one? Victoria's making a newborn army.
Yeah, Victoria's going wild and spreading vampirism like an STD. It's ridiculous.
She is.
Just all these people, another reason I guess to not like Bella, all these people are just dying and getting turned into vampires.
On her
Because of
account.
her,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
well...
is directly and indirectly led to, at this point in the franchise,
lot of
what,
deaths.
like
A
10
lot
or
of
15
deaths.
people are already dead
because
because of it?
imagine, like, now the newborns are also feeding. So it's not even just, like, the newborns losing their family. They're also, like, spreading and killing a bunch of people because newborns are in this...
Super ferocious, right?
Super volatile, can't be reasoned with, bloodlust, you know, are really going after it. And so we're really starting to see, though, Bella has chosen Edward, and we're seeing that, the love triangle tension.
I was going to say, like, the way they market it, they're like, no, Jacob's still in the running. Jacob's still in the running. Just watch. You gotta come see the movie. You gotta come see the movie.
And the only reason why he was in it is because he literally threatens to kill himself if Bella doesn't kiss him. Like, that
Which is,
actually happens.
Really fucked up.
So that's like red flag number 3 at this point.
Yeah, he's already
like,
kissed her without her consent.
And he had that really fucked up hair. I'm not gonna let go of the hairdo
He's
in the
Native
first one.
American!
And that was a disgrace to the culture what he had on his
Because
head.
it was a shitty wig.
I'm
It was a
uniquely
bad
qualified
wig.
to say it was a really bad
It was a
wig.
really bad wig.
And like, I'm gonna put a pin in this right here. They like, I don't know how Native American groups didn't like attack this movie.
They did.
They did?
Yeah, just it
Good.
wasn't...
I remember that.
Yeah.
Because it was so, I know very little about the Native American heritage of mine. Like, very, very, very little. And I felt a little disrespected with some of the stuff that they were putting in
Well,
there.
you want to hear what's the most disrespectful about it? So the Quileute tribe, which is a real Native American tribe
I
of
knew
the
that.
Pacific Northwest, do have their own legends surrounding wolves and shit. Stephanie Meyer completely threw that out the window and made her own Native history. She could have used the real Native history and made it work for the story.
That would have been a cool point for me.
That would have
if
been
they had
cool.
done that. She would've got brownie
Instead
points.
she was like, I'm going to completely rewrite this tribe's
Mormon.
history.
She just channeled her inner Jasper is really what happened. So I'm gonna ruin this culture.
She's used to just, taking, like, I don't like that culture. I'm just going to rewrite it to whatever I want it to be. So, yeah, there actually was a lot of backlash. And this was, none of the main actors were even Native American. Taylor Lautner's not.
No.
And a lot of the other, like, Wolfpack boys.
The grandpa is.
Billy Black?
Mm-hmm.
I forget his... he is, like, that
Yeah, Will
actor
Barrow was
is...
talking about he's like TikTok
They're
all about
one
the
for
activism
everybody.
of it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but so the whole Native American representation in that was really bad, and erased a lot of culture from a real legitimate tribe to the point where people would like go to their actual reservation and start spouting off all these facts, and like that's not true. Like that's not our people. Like
Oh God, just I would feel so bad. Just imagine you're just a Native American sitting around on a reservation, and then just like some girl just shows up in a Twilight T-shirt, and be like, "Hey, you guys like the book? No, leave."
yeah.
Oh. See, on the reservation, most of the time, like the laws and things, the police typically let like the reservation officials handle. I feel like there'd be so many deaths in like a short amount of time.
Just got violent.
Goodness.
Back to the movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to bring that up because that was like very.
No, yeah, and I'm glad you did because you need to talk about it. Like she completely disrespected an entire culture for her own monetary gain.
Yeah, again, not to say she's a horrible person, but if she liked football, I think Washington might be like her favorite team.
Before the name change.
Before the name change.
I feel like Eclipse in general has the most red flags as a movie. Edward is mega possessive. He's you can't see Jacob, he's dangerous. Whereas Jacob's like, if you don't kiss me, I'll kill myself. And then you have on the other end Victoria killing people.
To be fair, in a very fucked up way, Jacob is a dangerous individual.
Theo.
Not to side with this, but it's like, hey, that's a very destructive, suicidal maniac who can turn into a giant
I don't think
monster.
you should hang
Maybe
out
you
with
shouldn't
him.
be around.
Yeah. Right?
You're not wrong. Eclipse for me is it's just a lot of like you're all kind of stupid and weird and
They're
don't
awful.
Edward also is coercing Bella to marry him.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not gonna turn you into a vampire until you marry me?
And he asks
Bella
like every
is,
15 minutes.
Yeah,
in that
Bella
film.
doesn't want to get married. And
Yeah.
she's told him, like, maybe in a couple years, this is like the one thing Bella's actually reasonable on, is that she doesn't want to get married at 18.
Yeah.
Which, like, okay, snaps for Bella. That's actually very responsible. But yeah, Edward's like, I won't let you be eternal or fuck you until you marry me. And it's like, what?
Yeah, it's weird.
Okay.
And he basically like forces her hand. Like she in the book, it's so cringy, like the whole proposal scene. She's like, just get it over with. Like very much like pulling teeth, getting proposed to by the supposed love of her life that you're like literally gonna be immortal for. Crazy.
Is this the one where she starts begging to be a vampire though?
Yeah, she's been begging to be a vampire in all of them.
Like since the I
first
get it,
one.
but this was the first one where I like heard it a lot though.
They go back and forth a lot in this one where she's like, change me. He's like, marry me first. And she's like, but change me. And this is the closest they get to having sex before he's like...
Yes.
Yeah, they do it in like her childhood bed.
No, it's actually at his house. They
Is
bought a
it?
bed for his room. Yeah, they have a slumber party while everyone else is going out to like set up posts for the newborn army.
Yeah, this was like the first time that
yeah.
the werewolves and the vampy boys were kind of working together a little bit.
So there's a lot of antagonistic nature between werewolves and vampires. They're natural born enemies.
There's some old, like in the story, there's some old legend about a vampire showing up and killing a couple of werewolves, and the werewolves killed those vampires, and that's just the way we do business now.
Well, and then if you want to talk about that, you got to talk about the third wife, where the third wife, she sacrifices herself, and oh gosh, who could possibly be a martyr enough to try to kill herself for the two men she loves?
I don't know, maybe the suicidal lady who's in between the two suicidal dudes who are all fighting over each other.
For Stephanie Meyer being like so pro God, there's a lot of talk about suicide.
I'm telling you, she's getting out all of her real feelings, I feel like, in this.
Yeah.
And I don't like a lot of these.
Yeah. And they're just...
There was that. This was one that we watched separate because like you obviously already knew everything about this.
Yeah,
so the three of us watched it.
Yeah.
My favorite. We had and when you came over, you learned this rule. A drinking rule we always added was that if any of us could make the other person, anyone else laugh, we'd all have to drink. For me, because of the joke, my favorite part of the whole film is when they first become friends and they have Jasper, the Confederate racist, start trying to teach all the werewolves how to fight because he fought in the Confederate army for some reason. That translates.
Being a werewolf.
And I remember before I could think, like the line I spat out was, "Oh yeah, we could teach these gross monsters how to fight like us." And they went, "Geez, they're just werewolves." Like, oh, I didn't talk about the werewolf part.
Can I add a little bit of backstory to why Jasper is such a good person to teach fighting?
Sure.
It's because not only was he a Confederate, general or whatever he was, he also was a newborn army general that they don't talk about very much in the movie. But yeah, so he actually led newborn armies in the South because apparently there were a bunch of like turf wars in the South.
Right, because
I remember this.
And so
he would
because of
turn
his
people
powers,
and kill them, right?
Well, he would turn people to be part of the. But then once they became a nuisance in his army, he would dispose of them because they were just pawns in a chess game to him.
Right.
And he
used to be a real fucked up homie.
Oh yeah, dude. He was like absolute like bloodthirsty.
It's
like
weird that they like just imply that he's better now, but never tell you. Like they never make a point to be like, oh Jasper's not a racist.
Well,
anymore.
the thing is, she's like, oh, he met Alice and changed his life. A good woman will do that to you.
Emmett didn't eat shit. He met.
Emmett was perfect from the beginning.
Emmett rolled in on a monster truck and said to Rosalie, "Get in."
Emmett would have died if it wasn't for Rosalie.
No, I know.
Okay, I was like,
Rosalie did save Emmett.
Rosalie saved Emmett's life.
I still don't like Rosalie.
I still
by
like-
and large can't
But
stand
that's
by
because
Rosalie.
in Eclipse, Rosalie gets a really beautiful backstory that they also gloss over.
I respect her her backstory is very sweet, and I think the idea behind because
Well,
I wouldn't call it sweet.
no, like it's a sorry.
JT, wow.
Not
Learn
that
a lot
kind of
about you.
sweet. It's the most interesting I think of a lot of them.
To death.
I know. I don't mean sweet in the sense that it was good. I mean that it was an interest. Like it was actually
it's good.
complex. It creates a really interesting character.
See, that's why I always will say, like,
None of the other characters really go.
the writing in Twilight is sometimes really good.
It's something. Well, I remember that conversation that she had with Bella, maybe in this one.
Yes, it was in Eclipse.
That was like, why do you want to be a fucking vampire?
Right.
Do you not understand that we're cold and dead inside? And like,
Not alive.
I can never feel like I'm aging with the person I love. I can never have a child of my own. I will never be alive. Not in just the physical sense. in my
Because
opinion.
her thing
And,
is
like-
she never got to do any of the stuff that she always wanted to do.
Yeah,
Right.
Rosalie thinks she always wanted to have a family. Like that was
exactly.
her dream.
Yeah.
As
So
far as-
so she's a very interesting, complex character.
Yes.
It's the later stuff, I guess, that makes me just like, I don't fucking care for you.
Yeah, she's a bit tough sometimes.
Yeah.
I do understand why she does some of her things, but other times you're like, Rosalie, you're bad.
I adore her dynamic with Jacob. I
Oh,
genuinely
yeah.
do. And we said it multiple times. Oh, there's some sexual tension
Yeah,
there.
there
That's
was
just
in the
ridiculous.
Yeah.
In the movies, there's a ridiculous amount of sexual tension between those two
There
characters.
was weird tension.
And I feel like Emmett would just be like, do what you gotta do.
He would.
Okay.
Emmett absolutely would. What a good man.
Like, when they got together, they fucked for like a month straight,
They
didn't
did. That is
Yeah.
canon.
Yeah.
They did. They
Because
said they-
vampires don't have to sleep, so it was literally
From a
waking
woman.
sex for 30 days.
Yeah, this is Stephanie Myers.
This
just
is
getting all
it's
her
literally just her
fantasies
wet
out.
dream, dude.
Yeah.
She's just getting it out.
Robert Pattinson has literally said that in interviews. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like this is just Stephanie Meyer's like weird fantasy. Like he called it a weird fantasy.
Oh, he like they all kind of openly hate on the franchise at this point. Like hate on their characters a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because like I've seen a bunch of interviews where women will be interviewing Robert Pattinson and be like, "So yeah, you're so suave, like Edward. Do you take any of those pointers from Edward when you go and talk to girls?" He's like, "No, not one.
No,
Why
he's a
would
monster.
Why would I do that? People would not find that interesting. That's very creepy."
Edward's awful. Eclipse. They fight some newborns.
They
Kill
the
Victoria.
newborns.
Kill the
Victoria
newborns,
gets beheaded.
Kill Victoria, and we think, yeah, like everything's.
Mhm.
And the Volturi are more interested in them at this
Oh
point.
right, I forgot that the Volturi were in this one.
For like
For like 5 seconds, because they hoped that the newborn army would take out
destroy
the
the
colons.
colons.
Yeah,
And then I hated how all the Volturi guys all had the Bieber haircut at the time. Like they all like took off their hoods
Yeah.
and like the three, just all Bieber haircuts. Like no,
They did.
ew, yuck.
They should have paid to get Bieber in the film. I feel like that would have really cemented it for me.
I feel like Eve Bieber wouldn't step down to that. Because he would.
How much money would they have given him? Nah, he'd do it.
Do it.
Yeah,
Anything
yeah.
else exciting about Eclipse?
No, I can't really recall.
Not a thing.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get into.
We're into the
Let's-
end game now, right?
Breaking Dawn.
Breaking
Part
Dawn, Part 1. You are all cordially invited to the ritziest teen wedding you've ever seen.
Yeah, because the beginning is just the wedding.
Mhm.
Because at this point, she said yes, it's happening.
See, it's just so different from other teen weddings I see, which are usually at parks, but like this one, like they got like the full spread.
Well, the Cullens are rich as shit.
Yeah.
The Cullens are rich as shit, so they could take their own estate and turn it into this like gorgeous wedding venue pretty easily. And Alice is like,
Is that a
I
real
love you so
house?
much, Bella. I'm doing
It
this
is
for
real.
you. Notice me, please.
Oh yeah, Alice is like, I'm gonna make this perfect. I wish it was me. No.
Because Alice is in love.
Yeah,
with Bella.
there it is.
Yeah.
Thank you. Alice is in love with Bella. Very beautiful. I mean, I think as far as like movie weddings go, I was like visually, I was like,
Yeah,
this is
it
very
looks-
pretty. This is very nice.
Yeah.
That whole scene was lovely. My favorite part is the seething, painful death that you can see behind her father's eyes
Yeah,
for the
Charlie's
entirety of the ceremony. Charlie is just
The drinking rule for that was a drink every time Charlie makes you sad, right?
Yeah,
And
and
it
we
was
kept
so
drinking every
much-
time they showed
Yeah.
his
Do
face.
you remember like when he
He's
first
so
like
sad.
sees Charlie, like when Bella first sees Charlie, like right before the ceremony, he's just like you can't see it, but just
Just dead.
Yeah.
Well, like he walks.
like
in to
imagine
see
just like
her,
imagine you've had a
makeup,
dog for
right?
like 15 years and you held it in your arms as it like took its life. Like that's Charlie in
That
this
was his
moment
eyes,
because in
yeah.
his head he's like,
And she's gone.
my only thing
Yeah.
was to not
Well,
have a teen
is he-
wedding.
is he-
That was it. That was all I needed to do,
Is he-
and I couldn't do it. And my ex-wife is happy about it, and this is great.
Well, when does Charlie and the Wolfpack woman?
When did they start hooking
Sue
up?
Clearwater?
Clear after this. It was
Eclipse. They
Was
start
it
seeing each
Eclipse?
other in Eclipse.
Do
yeah.
they?
Yeah, because they used Sue as a distraction to keep Charlie out of the way of like the vampires and stuff.
Oh yeah. Did I get the name?
But then they
right?
actually like there's a
Yeah.
real relationship.
Yeah, but
with that,
they've already known each other for a long time. Cause
Okay,
Harry,
I didn't know that's when that happened.
Yeah, but they like got together.
Did I get the name right?
Sue Clearwater. Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
Congratulations,
You
man.
did get the name right.
And this is the first. Speaking of the Clearwaters, this is the first one where we get a lot more of
Seth. He
Seth
gets a lot more
and
screen time.
Seth and
Leah.
and Leah.
They both
right?
get a lot more screen time.
Seth is best boy.
I like Seth.
I stand by Seth. I think Seth, Emmett, and
Jasper.
not really Jasper, but I think they're my favorite.
Well, I
Seth
will
and
say
Emmett.
the reason why they get more of a story because in the books, for the first time in Breaking Dawn, we get a point of view change. So the entirety of the series, up until about halfway through Breaking Dawn, is all first-person Bella, and then for about a third of the book, it's first-person Jacob, while Bella is having the baby, which is.
I want to fuck that baby.
I
It's just that written
hate
over
it.
and over and
I
over
hate
again.
it.
Like 30 pages.
In the book, it's terrible. Oh God, Jacob is a whiny little bitch. He's like,
That's
Bella's
not new.
killing him. Okay, we'll get to that point. But it's a lot. So that's why we do get more werewolves. And then
So
we
we got the
get
wedding.
the least exciting sex scene ever.
Well, because it's PG-13, so they couldn't show
It's PG-13.
any of it. Well, they go on
Right.
the honeymoon to some island off in the middle.
Isle
of
you can rent.
Esme. No. It's Isle Esme. Carlisle bought it
Carlisle
for
bought the
Esme.
island.
No,
The
the actual
actual
place
island?
you can rent it.
You can
Oh,
rent.
no shit.
Yeah, you can
Yeah, it's
actually
yeah, we looked it
ridiculously
up.
It's
expensive.
boat or helicopter only.
It's $3,000 a day.
It's 3,000 a night, but it can sleep like I think it was like 28 people.
Oh,
it's like
sick.
an insane amount of
That's
people.
crazy.
Well, wait, is that $3,000 per person?
I
No,
don't
it's
No,
just
you get to rent the thing.
Oh,
So
you're
if
right.
you
I'm
can
getting
get,
dumb.
so if you can
Yeah.
get
Hey, you guys
30,
wanna
so if you
go-
can get 30 people, that's like $100 a night.
You guys want to go to Esme?
Yes.
Yeah, but
All
now we're
right.
talking. All right.
But so it's just like, the whole series essentially has been leading up to like this like pure magic sexiness between Bella and Edward. Finally they're married. Finally they're gonna have this like romantic night together. And Edward comes so hard he breaks the bed.
See, I love that it turns into a slapstick comedy. Like
Yeah.
she's breaking shit too.
It's breaking shit.
Breaking the bed. Basically, boy has never been touched by a woman. Doesn't know how to handle himself.
See, this is the problem with being a virgin on your wedding night. Like, I'm just kidding.
But at least for the guy who's like, I'm 100 years old. I've been waiting for this moment.
Yeah. Also for a century, like I feel
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well-
It was very weird.
And then they wake up and the cleaning people come in.
Yes.
Dios
And
mío.
they're immediately like, that's a demon. Like, they probably grabbed the sheet and felt that like from end to end it was soaked with fucking vampire steam and went, oh, that's a demon.
This
No
is
one
demon
man
come.
make this much.
No, then just throwing liquid on. He starts burning. Stop throwing holy water. No, it's bleach. Dirty man. Dirty man. Dirty man.
But they immediately piece together that some shit's not right.
Right.
It's just the one woman because they have their own. She's from I think he calls it the Takuna tribe, and that they have their own myths
Legend
about
of the
and legend of the vampire.
Who comes in later in like part 2, right? Or
No, that's a different woman.
Is it a different?
That's a different woman.
Yeah.
That's a different woman. But so they basically just
I tried.
they have sex and Edward's like, we'll never do that again while you're human because I'm hurt you. He gave her some kinky bruises and
Yeah.
it was
She
like
I was like, I wasn't even that
She
bad.
was
There's
like
no- she was
that.
into that shit.
Yeah.
in the
I saw that
book.
and I was like, I've been with girls who would like ask for more than that. Like that's not.
In the books,
I
I will
didn't
say
name names.
she's a little more beat up in the book, where she literally has like fingerprint bruises like from him. But none around her neck, which is like lame and not kinky at all.
They should have. Like, in all honesty, there should have been. That's where they should have been.
Right. So they do that, and then Bella starts like feeling yucky. She's like, "Uh-oh, this chicken smells weird," or "Why am I sleeping so much?" And then
It turns out to be symptoms of.
pregnancy
yeah.
because
Yeah.
she's sitting there and she's going through something, trying to find I think like Pepto, and she finds a box of tampons, and then she's like, "Whoa."
Oh no.
I haven't done that in a while.
I think it's just.
Because it's what, like 2 weeks that they're at the.
About 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's.
But then
late,
also vampire
Pregnancy.
pregnancies are
really
quick.
fast.
It's super sped up. I think she's
Yeah.
only pregnant
Yeah.
for like
And-
2 months, maybe.
Yeah, and for some reason in this. By the way, from the beginning of this podcast to now, it's been like a year in
Yes.
this
Yeah.
world. By the way,
Mhm.
in this world, for some reason, vampire ovaries don't work, but vampire semen does.
Vampires got swimmers.
Vampire dudes got swimmers, and vampire girls decrepit.
Yeah.
You know, I do wonder if they just have to use a lot of lubrication, or what's going on down there.
Yeah.
Because
Think about it.
Vampire sex is.
That's all
I
we've
wonder
been
if- I
able
wonder-
to decipher. So they're supposed to be stone monsters, but it's like, what liquid do vampires have inside them? Saliva and cum.
well, see, I wonder if like
It's
like
venom.
Emmett pulls down Rosalie's pants and
Venom and cum.
Just Ben Shapiro's wife down there. Just...
Oh man, that
Ben
was
Shapiro's wife is a vampire, confirmed.
hard. Confirmed. That's
That
funny.
Ben Shapiro?
Mm-mm.
Nah,
Nah.
he's
No.
not cool enough to be a
He's
vampire.
not cool enough to be a vampire.
But yeah, basically, Edward impregnates her with a half demon spawn, and he's like, "We're going home so we can abort it." And Bella's like, "No, my baby."
Well, then it becomes this giant conversation of
Pro-life,
pro-life versus
yeah.
pro-choice.
God.
Like, overtoned
It is-
to hell. And this is when Rosalie becomes kind of a pain in the ass.
Now, I've thought about a lot of this. I told JD about this last week.
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting idea in that, so obviously I think at the end of the day we can all agree that Breaking Down Part 1 was a very like pro-life movie of like,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
who deserves to live? But it's so interesting is that like apparently their pro-life hero is Rosalie, which is interesting because the people who genuinely care about Bella, of like Edward and Alice, are like, get that fucker out of
Yeah.
there. You gotta abort this fetus deletus.
Or you'll die.
Yeah, and then she's like, call it a baby, and suddenly now Rosalie's like this champion of like, we're gonna save that baby.
Who has been
But
hating on
right.
Bella.
And then at the same time, then at the end, like, you know, hey, cool, baby, I'm gonna take it to the other room. And then Bella's just dying in agony. It's like, well, I got what I wanted. And it's just kind of the idea of like, in a way, you're satirizing yourself, you know,
Yeah.
pro-life move by saying, you don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
You don't
Rosalie...
give a shit about the woman dying on the table.
Yeah, it became... And I don't know if this was intentional or not.
It was.
It became the conversation of, no, Rosalie's not... It's not a pro-life thing. Rosalie just wanted a baby of her own.
Yeah.
Is really what this was.
I really wanted a baby, but the baby really is like destroying Bella from the inside out. And some
Because
of the
it's growing so fast, and
It's-
that's part of why they
it's-
can't
because
can't
it's-
turn her, right?
Yeah.
Because they were gonna turn.
No. Well, they just figured they can't turn her right now because Bella won't be turned while the baby's still in there because she wants the baby to come to term. They
Yeah.
could
Well, that's what I'm saying. If
turn
they
her.
so if they went fetus deletus route, they could one way they could have done it is they could have just turned her, so
Yes,
the baby
but
wouldn't have been able to get out.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
But she didn't want that. The
Right,
vampire
that's
venom
what-
would have killed. Actually,
It wouldn't have killed the
Yeah.
baby. It's just the
God.
baby wouldn't have been able to because
I don't
wasn't it like a
know.
thing that vampire baby had to be like C-sections or something
Yeah,
like that.
they because they eat. They're like because she's essentially drinking Bella's blood
Yeah.
from the inside out.
So it's gonna like literally eat its way through.
Yeah,
their
kinda.
stomach.
And the prosthetics they used on Kristen Stewart were gross looking.
They did such a
They
good
did a good
job.
job. It was body.
She looks. It was body horror. It was like Christian Bale. What was that one movie he was in where he got dropped down to like 98
Oh, yeah.
pounds
It was like
or some
Equalizer
shit
or
like that.
something?
I don't know.
Yeah, and he looked like a goddamn skeleton.
That's what
They were
made
able to do that
Kristen
with prosthetics.
Yes.
Which tells me Christian Bale didn't really need to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
They did, and they also had like a Bella puppet. So in
Yeah.
the scene where once the baby's out and Bella's like dead and Edward's injecting her with all of his venom, which is weird and bloody, and he's just like doing fucking CPR on
Yes,
this
yeah.
body. That's actually
It's
a
a
Bella
dummy?
puppet. That's
It
a
was, like,
dummy.
So that pisses me off
Good dummy.
because of what happens after that. Knowing that they could have done that good of a job with a puppet, that pisses me off a little
Yeah.
bit.
Right, so I guess that's kind of the wrap up of Breaking Down Part 1.
Yeah, she
They
almost
have
dies.
Weird
Yeah.
sex,
Yeah.
baby,
Okay, so
almost dies.
And at the same time, the world stuff. Voltaire's like, oh shit, a baby might be coming, and
Yes.
the werewolves are like,
well, the
first,
Voltaire don't know about the baby yet.
That's true. Okay.
Uh,
The werewolves, though, are originally like, we
Yeah.
should be friends
We
with
should
Bella,
kill
we should be friends with the vampires, those are our boys. And then they find out the baby is coming and go, well, we gotta kill that baby.
Yeah, well, because they don't know what it's going to be. And they don't know if it's going to be safe, and they don't know if it's going to be a threat to humans. And so they're like, we got to kill the baby. And Jacob anoints to him.
Imprints on the fucking
Yeah, but
baby.
he doesn't know it yet. But he's like, we got to save Bella.
Well,
'cause
that's how
they're
the
gonna
movie
kill
ends,
Bella.
though. Right.
Yeah, he imprints her at the end of the movie.
the question is, does Rosalie directly contribute to that?
To Jacob imprinting on the
Yeah,
baby?
because she takes the baby away and it's like coddling the baby, right?
And then Jacob sees it.
Yeah.
He would have saw
He would have
the baby
imprinted eventually.
I was just curious.
Yeah,
like-
no, he would have seen the baby at some point.
Well, yeah, but isn't the thing that like the baby looks up and sees him?
Yeah, you just have to make eye contact one time. At some
Yeah.
point, I feel
You
like
make-
Jacob
It's a
and
rule. If you make eye contact with a CGI entity that doesn't
Yeah.
exist, and it's
Immediately
bad enough,
shrivel up and
it
Yeah.
becomes part of your
Well,
life for the rest of it.
imprinting though, like for a wolf to imprint like in like just imagine like you just look across a Walmart parking lot, just make eye contact with a stranger, and it's like boom.
oh, the
It's
humans
weird. I
don't
see
feel
that
it.
string.
Okay.
The humans don't feel the power of the imprint.
Oh.
Do you all not
So
know
it
that?
literally just destroys the head of the fucking
Yeah, so the
werewolf,
only,
and that's
the,
it.
The werewolf is the one that gets,
Yeah.
and technically they're not werewolves, they're shapeshifters. That's another conversation.
Yeah, they fucked that
Anyways,
up too. That's what's up,
so the wolf, yeah, once that imprints, it makes their center of the universe this person essentially, but that other person doesn't undergo any sort of spiritual change. It's just the way that they describe it is that why wouldn't you love this person? This person's going to be like the most caring, the most doting. They're going to be everything you ever need a partner to be. So essentially, when a werewolf imprints, they're just fuckboy puppets. Like, you know, they really are. Like, they'll do anything for you. Like, there's the ultimate simp is when you've imprinted.
Okay.
Interesting.
But the person, the imprintee, nothing really changes for them. They can say no. You could say no to your imprint, and then guess what happens to the wolf?
They die.
They die.
Really?
Yeah, because like, isn't the whole thing like your wolf spirit?
Yeah.
Oh,
what
right.
keeps you-
Okay.
They'll die.
Okay. But so that's how that one ends then.
No, I don't like you.
Dead. Yeah, basically.
No, do you like me? Yes or no? No.
Wait, I was kidding.
And so then we
If you don't say you
Yeah, the
like
werewolf
me, I'll
show up to kill it.
myself.
the werewolf show up to kill
And
it.
Jacob's like, you can't. And then
And
they're like,
yeah.
why? But the leader goes, oh, fuck, he imprinted.
Yeah. so
All right,
he
I get.
imprint-
All right, boys, guys, go home.
I smell your stank here, Jacob.
Yeah, he imprints on rotary phone, and then.
On rotary phone.
Yeah,
And-
let's talk about
and-
the name real quick. Renesmee.
Renesmee is the name of
Which
the baby.
was a
It's-
drinking
Renee
right?
and Esme. It
It's
was. We drank
stupid.
every time they said the name Renesmee.
What was her middle name again?
Carlisle and Charlie.
That would have been a phenomenal
That'd be a
first
cute
name.
name. Carly is a
Carly,
cute name.
Carly
switch the
Renesmee,
blue.
right?
Yeah,
Carly
be
Renesmee would have been great.
No, fucking Renesmee. And
Carly
I love.
Cece? Oh my
I
God.
love that the
That would have worked.
fandom is just so against using the name Renesmee. Like everyone will call her anything, any
Everything
R word,
except-
anything.
Any R word?
Any
Any
R
R
word.
word.
So, you know what I mean? Like rotisserie chicken,
Yep.
rotary phone. They'll call her rotisserie, or like Rubik's cube, like anything you can
Okay,
think
cool.
of.
we
Glad
talk
we're
about the
dodging one
CGI
specific R word that makes me
Can
happy.
we talk about the
The
CGI
CGI
on
is-
RoboCop's face?
Yeah.
So bad. So they originally had a puppet, which I showed you guys a
Which is
picture of the puppet,
worse.
which is way worse.
I don't know. I almost would have preferred the puppet.
No, they should've
I
just
prefer
done-
the Rita Repulsa puppet to
They
the Rita
should have
Repulsa
just done
person.
a
Like, I
regular
don't-
baby. And no, so the reason why they did the CGI is because Renesmee is supposed to look like more intelligent than a regular baby. None of us would have
looks
cared.
terrifying,
Just
yeah.
have a regular
It
baby.
was so gross. Ricky Ricardo was disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try a different name every single
Like-
time.
Right foot really was
Yeah.
disgusting looking, and it was dramatic. And like as the baby ages and grows, they don't take the CGI off until like
Yeah.
the very last scene of the movie.
And
Yeah.
that's an
Which is
actual
weird.
child.
And then it's an actual child.
Because it
but
could have been an
it's-
actual child for any scene
It could
after
have been
that.
the whole time. The fans wouldn't have cared. We would have been like, her eyes don't look intelligent enough. What? No.
No, it was gross.
It
Just
was
we have crazy CGI.
Horrific. I think that's probably the best and the worst part
Yeah.
of Breaking Dawn is how bad that
The
is.
babies.
Oh, it's
Every time it's on screen, just
Hilarious.
yeah.
Bella's a vampire.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Bella finally turns.
No one's
and-
surprised.
she
Bella's
goes-
like good at it.
Well, yeah.
Oh
she
yeah,
goes after a
she's
hiker.
been a brooding,
She
creepy
was
lady her
always-
whole life.
yeah, she
this
was-
is
she
what
was
she
destined
was
to
born
be a Mary
do.
Sue vampire.
They
That was just
literally
kinda-
in the book she's like, I was destined to be a vampire.
I love how edgy it gets in her first hunt.
Mhm.
She almost kills a guy.
Yep.
And then chooses to kill a mountain lion
Yes,
instead.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
fights a mountain lion.
Cool. Yeah.
Which honestly
I-
should have killed the guy. Mountain lions are endangered. Like,
Yeah, that wasn't. There's
not
plenty
cool.
of people.
Right, and
There's
that guy
plenty of
wasn't on a
dudes.
marked trail, so he was actually
He was
He was
begging for
asking
death.
for it.
He
Yeah.
was bouldering. He had no like.
No, he was free climbing.
That's
He's
free
free.
climbing.
Yeah.
He had a death wish.
He had a death wish. You should have gone for it, Bella.
That man was so
Absolutely.
disappointed he didn't die that day.
Yeah, seriously.
He was
went out
probably
there.
sitting there like, I wonder if a vampire is
Just
finally
like, you were
coming.
talking pretty loud. I was thinking about it. I was about to say that.
Please.
Whoa.
Please kill me.
He probably saw the like her coming down at him and went, dude, please. Just
It's
fucking-
finally
Please, please.
Yeah,
Just
that-
Oh no, the gypsy
No,
was right.
do
I
it,
would be
do
killed
it.
on a cliff by a white girl. It was just.
You know, it's
He's
strange.
just looking at Edward like,
He's avoiding
Oh.
white girls for the last 10 years of his life.
I love then when Bella does get back, she just beats the shit out of Jacob for
Yeah.
imprinting on her baby.
Yeah.
Because it's weird.
It's more than weird.
And
And,
they're
even
trying
and
to be
Jacob
like, it's
tries
not-
so hard
It's
to
like, it's
explain
not
it away.
sexual, I promise. Like, if it was sexual, Edward wouldn't have let me live this long. It's like, bro, but you know you're gonna fuck her
Oh,
at some
yeah.
point.
Oh, and the
that's weird.
the smug fucking look on Edward's face,
Yeah.
just like, because all the other Cullens are like, "Are you gonna stop this?" And he's like, "Nah,
Nah, fuck
I'm
nah."
enjoying every moment of this. Is wonder.
Yeah.
I've been waiting a
Yeah.
year for this. All right, I'm gonna
Yeah,
enjoy-
yeah.
That's all
For
it's
Bella
been.
to
I
go
know.
kick his ass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was really great. But then we get to, everything's fine, everything's happy, but of course we have to have some sort of climax.
Well, so like the Volturi are like,
They
Where's it?
find out about
baby,
an immortal child. Ooh.
Because the
which is like
The
sacrilege
sister,
in the.
right?
Yeah, because Arena was dating Laurent,
Mhm.
and when the wolves killed Laurent, she had a beef with the wolves, and then she saw Bella, a wolf, Jacob, and Rinky Dink. And so she thought that it was an immortal child, which her mother was actually killed for because Immoral children are illegal because they stop
You can't
maturing.
control them.
You can't control them. You basically have a 2-year-old, which can be fucking cute, but they're also monsters
They're
in their
vicious.
own right.
Yeah.
So now you have a monster, temper tantrum 2-year-old who can kill you and move at the speed of light. Like,
Yeah, not
you
preferable.
couldn't. They didn't keep the
it's like
secret.
that it's like that scene from Incredibles where Jack
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
shows all the powers, but like rated R.
Already.
Right? Yeah.
So, Irina goes and basically tattles because she's
Yeah.
like, they made an immortal baby and my mom died for that and I'm sad. And the Volturi's like, we're gonna come,
They're like,
we're gonna kill
This
the
is the
Cullens.
excuse we were waiting for.
This
Let's
is
go.
the-
Let's go murder some
exactly.
Cullen boys.
And
Let's go get that rhombus.
go.
And this is when we get the greatest.
There we go.
We get the greatest amount of like celebrity appearances. Like Rami Malek is in this.
Pace.
Rami Malek, Lee Pace. Lee Pace is great.
I love Lee Pace.
Yeah, like we get just a lot of like people. You're like, why are you in this movie? But
Because they wanted to
basically,
be. I think that's
Cullens.
really what it is.
Yeah, the Cullens go and they're like, hey, come stand up to the Volturi with us and tell them that our baby's not, not actually an immortal child. But then this whole time they're also stressing out that she's just gonna age in 7 years and die. Like they don't know if she's ever gonna stop aging because
She's like one of the first of her kind.
Yeah.
right?
So they think, and so
Yeah.
she's just been accelerating, and they're like, this bitch is only gonna live for 5 years, and then she's gonna.
Right? She's gonna just keep aging out of existence.
She's gonna Benjamin Button almost, and just like she's gone.
Yeah. So they train with those people, and they get the Wolfie boys.
Yeah, well,
to be part of
obviously,
it.
'cause
they get
now-
the Jacob Wolfie boys. to
And
be
all
part
the
of it.
Wolfie boys do become.
Well, because
part.
Jacob becomes leader of the pack,
Yes,
or whatever,
'cause
right?
he's the true alpha.
What a toxic leader. Also, like they proved that the whole alpha thing isn't real, but that's
Yeah, I
beside the
know, but it's not a real
It's
thing in
Stephanie
wolf
Meyer.
culture. It's only a thing in wolves in captivity,
point. Yes,
This
it's
is-
only a captivity thing. In the wild,
which is where
it's
they
a-
studied it, and they're like, "Whoa, this must be
This
how
is
it
all
works."
wolves ever. And these monkeys that figured out how to play patty cake in the zoo. This must be something. Did we learn patty cake from primates? This is wild. No. So all the Volturi show up,
Yeah.
and all the
Well,
Yes.
everybody shows up on a
and
snowy
everybody's there.
snowy bank,
Which
right?
is the same field from.
Except I guess it's important to
What?
mention.
Or
I think
isn't it the baseball field?
it's the baseball field.
It might be.
Yeah.
It's important to mention that Alice and Jasper have fucked off.
They left with a note to Bella, basically telling Bella to go get these passports only for Jacob and gosh, I'm running out of R
And
words.
with Rudy Tooty, Fresh and Fruity.
Rudy
Yeah.
Tooty Fresh and Fruity, yeah. And so there's only 2 passports, basically implying to Bella, hey, your daughter and Jacob are gonna survive, but you're dead. Like your whole family is gonna die. And Alice saw it in a vision, and that's what Bella really firmly believes going into this. And so she's like, oh, Alice must have left because Aro from Volturi, he wants Alice as like a prize because he doesn't have a fortune teller.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I want Alice in my coven so badly. And so everyone's like, oh, Alice left so he couldn't have her. And like they respect her decision. Everyone's like, no one's mad at Alice. Everyone's like, yeah, we get it.
How can
Yeah,
we
yeah.
be mad at
And so like the Cullens plan A is like we don't want to fight.
The plan
we
A
just
is
wanna,
to
we
just
just want to
show
show
them.
Ronald Reagan to these people and be like, hey, she ages like she's
Hi.
she was a baby like a month ago.
Yeah.
meet my granddaughter Regina George. See, she's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the plan, so they get there, they have Rigatoni come,
Yeah.
touch Aro, show her the visions, because Rigatoni, she is
She's
gifted.
super smart, right? Like
She's gifted, she can show you anything she wants by touching you.
I thought it was she could only show you like memories.
No, she can show you literally anything.
No.
Really?
Yeah, anything.
Wow.
Could she show me the internet?
Yeah, probably she can show you memories, she can show you made up worlds, she can show you her thoughts.
Can she
Rodolini,
show
I
me
would
what
like
her
to Google
winning-
something, please. Touch my hand.
So if she's like thinking about something, that's how she would like to show Bella that she was like hungry. If she was hungry, she would like show like a snack.
Interesting. Okay.
Rabbi,
I
show
didn't-
me the winning lotto numbers.
Not that, she can't do that.
Yeah.
Alice can
That's
do that though.
Prediction.
Alice, show me the winning lotto
I
numbers.
think that's how they keep their fortune intact.
Yes, that is in the books canonically that Alice
Just
can
like sees,
the stock
predicts
market.
what's gonna happen.
Yeah, she can see the stock market and stuff.
That's
That's
smarter.
insider
That's
trading.
smarter than the
They-
lottery.
They do
it's
insider
not.
trading. No, technically.
I mean,
it's
Let's
not.
go arrest
It's
these
not.
vampires.
They don't have
It's magical insider
It's,
trading.
yeah, so that is canon. That is why they have so much money, is because Alice can see the stock market trends.
She could
Yes.
see Bitcoin.
Yep, she could.
That probably
Cullens
would
def
have. In all
have-
honesty, that's probably the only thing she ever would have had to see.
She's a Wall Street bro.
She's got all of it, and like
if she
Microsoft.
said, "Hey, Carlisle, put $20,000 in Bitcoin in 2004,"
Right? And
Yeah.
just
then it's it. That's all you needed.
Yeah, that's all I needed. But so they did that,
Your entire
And
fortune in Bitcoin, and now you were the most wealthiest person.
You don't want the attention of that though.
No.
what else happens? So they're all there.
So they
Talk about this part. I know you hate this part.
This is my least favorite moment, I think, in the entire franchise for a very specific reason. They show off the chick, Ricky
The
Martin.
child.
They show off Ricky Martin, the kid. And for some reason, our big bad thinks, no, I still really want to kill the college.
And his argument is, we don't know what this child will grow up to be.
Like, this child still might grow up and be the downfall of vampires as we know it, or something. Like, he makes this big, grandiose statement to all of his troops to be like, no, we're still going to do this. This is still happening.
Like 40 people.
And then it was really funny.
Yeah, but
Michael
40
Sheen does that
vampires are
weird
still,
laugh.
that's still a pretty formidable fucking force.
Oh yeah, 40 people.
Yeah.
That's like later.
I still like that weird laugh that Michael Sheen does when it touches
Yeah,
race.
the mic-
Yeah.
Raphael gave me a vision.
Yeah,
And then,
so he instigates the fight anyway, and
Alice shows up.
Alice shows up to try to stop it,
Yeah.
and touches his face. To
Well,
like,
she doesn't touch his face. She just
She
grabs her
touches
hand.
him, and
It's
to
a-
show him a vision, right?
Yes.
And
The-
originally, he sees the vision. Don't know exactly what it is, but he sees it, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm still gonna fight anyway," and starts the fight anyway. Like, they still fucking fight. Like,
Yeah,
and there's this whole
She's like, nothing will change your mind.
right, and there's this whole like, it was like 5
Great
full minutes, maybe
sequence.
more, like 8 minutes, like really huge,
Killing off
interesting
characters.
battle scene.
I will say-
Carlisle gets beheaded.
Mhm.
Who?
They all get
Seth dies, Leah dies.
Seth and Leah both
I
get
think
fucked.
Jasper gets beheaded.
Jasper gets killed.
Someone
Yeah.
falls down into a ravine.
Someone falls
That's
in. Emmett,
Leah.
Emmett makes it, I
oh,
think.
Emmett, yeah, they don't really show a lot of him, but it's actually like a really
Yeah.
So many
cool
times,
fight
and it's
scene.
so here's the issue. Like, it's so beautiful and it's so cool, and all of these really important characters have died
I
to
cried.
show like the gravity of the situation, and they do win though. Like, they end up
They kill
winning that
Aro.
fight. They kill Aro,
and
and they think that they've won. And as Aro dies, I think he gets beheaded too.
He
right?
gets beheaded, and then Bella lights him on
Lights him
fire,
on
and
fire.
then you
Bella
can
lights him on
see that's
fire.
like the last scene is.
And then he opens his eyes because none of this happened. Not a
Cut to.
single moment of it. It turns out this was all the vision that Alice gave to him.
Yeah, she was basically saying, if you choose to fight, you'll
It
die,
will
and
equal
I've
your
seen
specific
it.
death. And
yeah.
most likely, all your people are going to die
Yeah,
too.
and he saw that, and he went,
Maybe we
never mind.
shouldn't
That's it. So
fight.
is that in the book?
No, the fight
Okay,
scene's not in
yeah,
the book.
that's-
So
She
what-
just shows him that it was a fight scene, right?
No, she doesn't. They don't even talk about that. So in the book, what happens is, because she brings with her that immortal child, that
Right.
man, and his aunt, where Alice, because she, the whole time, was having visions of where she could find an actual...
Another example of this situation.
Another kid, yeah. And so they found him. I think his name was like Nulu. Don't quote me on
Something
that.
stupid.
Not stupid, different culture.
That's not so much the culture as it is me taking a dig. Shush. It's not so much me making a dig at the culture as I am making another dig at Renesmee. I apologize.
You mean Rolo?
Yeah, Lola.
Rolos, Rolex.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Alice shows up with this other, half breed. Cher would not like me
now
using
who's
that word.
insensitive?
Half breed. Sorry.
Anyway.
So she shows up with this evidence, and he's like, I'm 150 years old. I reached full maturity at age 7, which, red flag, that's the age that Renesmee is going to be 18 and ish, at least
Yeah.
physically, and Jacob and her are going to start
And Jacob's just
fucking
started
when she's 7
arm pumping in
years
his head like, yes.
old. Yeah, that's weird.
7 years. Yes.
But
Jacob's
so
just fucking. You see
his-
Jacob's tail start wagging as soon as he
No!
hears that.
No! So they show up, and he's like, I can feed off humans, and I can also sustain myself on human food, and I'm totally not a threat. I actually have a bunch of sisters. We're all chill and super kind and super nice.
Cool.
And then that's when Aro's kind of backed into a corner, at least in the book. So in the book, it's actually kind of lamer. So he sees that and he goes, oh, I guess we really don't have a leg to stand on. But in his head, he's already formulating ways that they can come back. Like, this is not going to be the only attempt the Volturi have on the
Yeah,
cults. Like,
the way the
there's
books
gonna
do it
be-
are like, there will be more things.
there
We're just
will
not
be
going to
more
talk about it
things,
here.
But then, with the movies, why I think they did it for the shock value, because they did know some of their fan base had never read the books. because there
so
are
they're like, we can do something crazy
they could do
here
something
and get
crazy.
away
And
with
so
it.
when that first premiered, people were like legitimately having like mental breakdowns in the theater,
watching all
watching
these
like
people,
Carlisle die and everyone die because they didn't know what was gonna happen.
and then they realized.
And
it was
then
amazing.
a lot of people were kind of like, why did I like you ruined my life for 5 minutes and now it's fine. But so I mean, it was
So I
really
think for a
cool.
shock and awe thing,
It
that's
was great.
cool.
It worked.
It worked.
After that point, I felt fucking betrayed.
You
to
feel
be
like
honest.
it
I
cheapened
felt,
the moment?
Yeah, because I don't know. I feel like part of it is we got spoiled with things like the first couple seasons of Game of Thrones, where like you watched really like that was just part of what
That was
it
it.
was.
You watched people die.
Important characters died because people died, right?
Not in Twilight.
Well, see, that's why I think
Bad guys die.
I would have
Only bad
absolutely
guys
like
die.
I would have if they had let those people die and just be dead. I would have changed my entire opinion of the franchise as a whole.
I think with this specific genre of young adult, I'm not saying like there are young adult novels where people die at Hunger
John
Games.
Green is a perfect example.
John Green
of
kills
all of
kids
that.
all the
All the
fucking
time.
time.
Oh yeah, well there's
Stephanie,
that. Barrett and I have a weird love for the Cirque du Freak series.
Yeah.
They
and
kill
they do
kids?
that. They don't kill kids.
It's
They kill main characters all the time.
yeah, Stephanie Meyer didn't kill any main characters. I mean, if you look through the whole series,
Not a one. Yeah.
only the villains died, and that was just her choice. I guess that's just what she
Yeah,
did.
and
but
it caters
no
to
one,
that audience. I get it.
Exactly. I think it catered to the audience really well because it's bare bones. Twilight is a fucking romance novel, right?
It really is.
If you break down, like, if you break down something like The Hunger Games or some of those other stories, the story is dystopian. The story is
it's action.
action, fantasy. It has these other categories, but bare bones, Twilight's romance, and you don't really kill off your main fucking characters in a romance novel.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And
I can respect that.
right? So
I don't like it, but I respect it.
Okay, I think what they did in the movie was great. Beautiful fight sequence. And then it ends, and it honestly was kind of a lame ending. But that's how the book ended, basically.
The ending is super lame. They
Bella and
they
Edward,
just
like,
fuck
are
off. The Volturi fuck off.
Yeah, they go home for a little bit.
Jacob stays with the Cullens.
Yeah.
Because they leave again, right? They have to leave again.
At some point they will. We finished the series, movie and book, in Fork still, but yeah, at some point they gotta leave again. Also, Charlie knows about
And
Vampire.
Charlie's aware of everything. So maybe Charlie comes along?
No, I feel like they'll just come back and visit and have
I
to
don't
be
know.
like,
I feel like out of owing this person something at minimum, the Cullens have to be like,
Alright,
do
Charlie.
you want to be a vampire?
No.
No.
I feel like he is
Charlie's
owed. No,
I
he would.
do
No.
feel like he's
He
owed
would
a
never
little
say
bit.
yes. He would never say yes, and I think they're aware of that.
He doesn't know about vampires though. He only knows about
He
werewolves.
Yeah,
knows-
but
well, he
hey,
knows
okay.
that
So let me
they're-
go down the list then. He is owed to know about vampires,
Alright.
and I know like it's literally pageantry. Charlie would never in a million years say yes, but I feel like they're like Charlie, and Bella's like fucking nudging Edward, and Edward's like, do you want to be a vampire?
Would you like to be a vampire?
Charlie's like,
No.
well, of course not. It's like, so you fucking told
See,
you
like-
want to be a vampire.
Yeah, that part is like some stuff that I think Stephanie Meyer plans to not necessarily come back to immediately, but I know
Is she doing more stuff?
Yeah, she's writing more.
she's gonna apparently, this is just what's been in the rumor mill, write a book from Rosemary and Leah's perspectives.
Leah.
Because Leah's
interesting.
still technically in Jacob's pack. And so
Oh, and so they
Jacob
just falling
would
around
be with
Jacob wherever,
yes, and so it would be
wherever
set.
rotoscope is going.
It would be set in whatever current time, so like that would be like 20 years after the original book. So
Yeah.
we would have Renesmee be fully grown up, and we would probably still see the Volturi come back.
If they portray that as a romantic relationship,
They will.
I will
She will,
hunt
yeah.
her down.
Yeah,
Oh,
1,000%. They will. Yeah. And but
Wow.
she's not. She says she has an idea for it, but she has not
Stephanie.
started writing it. She doesn't. She's working on other projects currently, but she hasn't started writing it.
Has
I'm like,
she
get on
done
it.
anything
Write it.
since Twilight?
Midnight Sun.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
not Twilight.
Yeah, the host. The host is about
Wow.
an alien parasite that takes over your body.
I've seen that. That movie kind of sucks.
It was also a movie.
So
But-
it ends with this lovely like
Bella learns how to like get rid of her shield so Edward can finally read her mind.
yeah.
And then it ends on the last word, and it is like forever, I think. And then that's it. That's Twilight.
Well, the movie does this really pretty like send off to the
I
whole
know.
franchise
Okay,
that
so-
I thought was just for people who loved that franchise. I think that was wonderful for them.
It was really funny watching that with you because JD at this point was a little tipsy for how many
More
times
than
they
a
said the
little
name.
tipsy.
More than a
And
little. I was
He was very
gone.
drunk, and he decided to tell me like cinematically like how beautiful. He's like, it's thematic, it's moving, it's just the ultimate love letter to the fans of Twilight. And I'm sober because I had to drive home, and I was sitting here just like, yeah, dude.
Look, when I drink a lot,
You
the thoughts up here just happen. All right?
You
Like,
absolutely loved the ending of the
I
series.
thought that moment, like, because for the first time in the entire franchise, and it sucks that it took this far. For the first time, I understood the love that the people this was catering to. I understood the love for this franchise, and it took till the last 30 seconds of the whole franchise to get that.
Hey, but at least you got there.
I got there. I get it. I get why people like these movies. I still think they're dog water.
Oh,
Like, they're
yeah, they're not
for
great.
us.
No, they're not good. Also, like, the actors don't even like it. The only reason they did it is, fun fact, which you all know at this point,
Yeah.
they made $20 million a movie, on average, the principal cast. Because the stupid agent didn't think that it was going to make any money and was able to successfully negotiate like 7% of the gross profit of each film
Crazy.
for each principal actor per film.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, Taylor Lautner needed therapy. Robert Pattinson hated his character. Kristen Stewart doesn't like to talk about it. But they went back every single time because who wouldn't for $20
that money,
million?
yeah.
Taylor Lautner was lit right after Twilight. He was still living at his parents' home.
Mm-hmm. In Valencia.
Yeah,
Which he
was
didn't
just
need
like,
to.
He
No,
just
yeah.
liked it. He's a weird dude.
He is weird. I like him.
But I mean, like, in the grand scheme of things, I would rather that than, see somebody go out and spend all their money and,
Die.
teenage or
and
older
go into
teen-
bankruptcy. And
Well, yeah, waste all your money.
Yeah, no. I implore you to find a way to waste, what is that, 5 movies?
Yeah.
I implore you to find a way to
People
waste
win the lottery
$100 million.
and-
Oh, yeah,
Waste
people
it
can do it.
immediately.
That's
Like,
such,
Yeah,
I
people
can't
do it.
even fathom $100 million.
I love Twilight. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to sit here and
Yeah.
Of course.
hear Twightless.
I had so much fun with
Encyclopedia?
this. I think this whole franchise
Encyclopedia.
was yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try it.
Encyclopedia Twilight.
Yeah.
Twilight. Yeah, there it is.
Twilight.
Yeah, you know what? I think this fandom, it's a pop culture phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you can't take away the money that it made, the people's lives that it changed or touched, and if they're not the best movies, but I think the culture and the fandom around it is like really fun, and I love it.
It's a good time. It's definitely a good time. I'm not looking forward to anything else she writes, but it's a good time.
I will have, if she eventually releases
You
the
think you'll-
Leah
you'll-
Burnett.
You'll have
Oh
to.
my god, I have to. I'm gonna get it
Yeah.
from the public library. I'm not gonna spend my money on it, but I will read it.
The Leo Rico Suarve.
Yes. Yes.
On that note, is there any other final thoughts? Anybody?
No.
I think
Well-
we have to do. I think we know the answer to this, but Twilight or Blade.
I like
Twilight.
Twilight's. Yeah, I think I'd rather watch the Twilight
I'd
movie.
rather
And I
watch
love
Twilight.
Blade.
It's a lot more
And
fun
I
to
love
drink
Blade,
to
but
it.
Twilight's just more fun.
It's fair.
It's more fun to poke fun at versus Blade.
Blade was hard because they weren't very good, but they weren't bad.
Yeah.
So you just kind of got bored.
And also just for me, it's just the eye bleeding of like, it was the peak
Mhm.
90s, early 2000s fast cut action scenes where it
Yeah,
just gives you more of a
nothing is going
headache.
on.
They were
Yeah,
rough.
I
They were
hated
rough.
that.
Well, on that
Amazing.
note, this has been another iteration of Jabbermouths, and we'll make another episode when we
Eventually,
fucking
yeah.
feel like it. So,
Yeah.
catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.